Hello everyone, my name is Shayan. I work for Curve Digital as a software architect, and in this session, let's take a look at using Dataverse AI functions in Power Automate. Here's the agenda for today's session. Introduction to AI functions. We'll understand how we can use different AI functions, and we'll look at a demo using AI functions in Power Automate. Now, what is AI functions in Dataverse? So basically, Dataverse provides built-in AI functions that are pre-configured. They are ready to use and do not require any data for training. They help in streamlining and improving the process. So basically, it's a new introduction where you can use pre-configured AI functions. They basically take a text, and based on analyzing and processing that text, um, it will provide a result set, and that result set is something that we could use in streamlining and improving the process, which we will take a look at them in the further slides. So I'll jump into next slide. This is the first function that we'll be taking a look at. This is AI classify. Now this classify function is responsible for classifying text into category provided. Now these are the common scenarios that are customer submitting an issue which can be classified into categories like problem, billing, or licensing. And it can also be a customer service request that we want to categorize, and it can also be complaints. Typically what I have drafted down here is something that could help in case management module. For example, whenever a customer creates a case, it could be from an email or a phone call, so we capture the description, and now we want to categorize each of the case with a particular category, and that category is something that we can define, like it can be a problem, billing, or licensing in this case, or it could be anything. Now what this AI classify function generally does is read the text, and based on the category that we have configured, it will assign a suitable category for that particular text, and from there we can process it. Now the next function is AI replay. Now replay function helps in drafting a reply to the message that we provide. Now it helps in composing email responses. Let's say we have an email that has come through, and we want to automatically draft a response based on the email content. Now this helps in providing templated response. Also responding to customer service. Let's say we have a website. Now someone has actually went and reviewed our product. Now we could access what the review is based on the text. Now this function will actually compose a response. Now we could send that response back, and that can be displayed in the website. Now that is one of the use case for AI replay. Now the other one is sentiment analysis, basically an AI sentiment function. Now it detects the sentiment based on the text provided. Now for example, there is a customer who has reviewed our product and has expressed very good review, or displeasure, or disagreement with what we are offering, and we want to analyze the sentiment of the customer based on their responses or their feedback, and then we can prioritize how we can address them based on their sentiment. Now the sentiment of a customer could be positive, negative, neutral, and it can be based off an email, a description, a review. Basically this function helps in identifying a particular sentiment. The next one is AI summarize function. Now if there is a text in a document, or be it an email body or a custom field that requires to be summarized, this function helps in doing so. Thereby a quick summary of particular text can be extracted. Now these are the 4 functions that I'll be demoing today. So this is a reference slide where this link can be used to understand in depth of what these AI functions are and how we can use it. To summarize, these can be accessed as an unbound actions. We could use them in our JavaScript or TypeScript web resources. We can consume them in custom API, also in plugin. We can use it in Canvas apps, custom pages, also in Power Automate. Now for this demo, the idea is to introduce you folks to these functions, how they work, and basically how they are called in Power Automate Cloud Flows. Now this is not an end-to-end use case that is being built, rather more of an introductory session. So yeah, without delay, let's jump into. So let's take a look at the demo. I'm in my Dataverse environment and I opened a Power Automate flow. It's a manual trigger flow. And let's select the Dataverse action. So like I said previously, this is an unbound action. So I'm going to select an unbound action. And let's look for AI, and we have AI classify function. As mentioned previously, it's not an end-to-end demo, rather more of an introductory session with having an understanding of how these AI functions can be used. So like seen before, AI classify, we can add categories. Now for the sake of this demo, I'm going to add a couple of categories. That is problem, and the other one is license. Now there could be scenarios where a particular statement or a text could belong to same categories, but to keep it simple, I would mark allow multiple categories to know, and I'll enter the text here. Let's see the text. Now this text can be dynamic. It could be coming from a Dataverse entities column, or it could be coming from a Azure service bus, or it could be accessed from a API. Doesn't matter actually, but to have an understanding and simplify the process, I'm just going to enter it manually. Let's see. So what I've done is I've entered a text, that is I have an error in resetting the password. Let's test this. We've got the flow that has ran successfully, and these are the categories that we actually defined. One is problem and one is license. Now this was the text that was provided, which read, hi, I have an error in resetting the password, and it has classified this as a problem, rightfully so. Someone has an issue in resetting this password and it is problem. Now one of the use cases that I could think of where this could come handy is in the case management module. If we are getting multiple cases and we have to route this to the right customer service representative, now we could classify each case based on its problem. That could be a text, and categorize it in Dataverse, and based on the category we could route them to appropriate team or appropriate queue or right person to handle it. This is one scenario, but there could be multiple business use cases, but the understanding is what AI classify can do. Now I'll edit this flow and I'll probably give one more statement here. So here I've entered what do I need to access the system. I'll save this flow. I'll test it. Run the flow. Now let's open the execution. Now it says license. So basically this is not an issue, it's rather a question that the customer is asking, what do they need to access the system. So this function has classified this as a license, so you need license to access the system. Now in one way this helps in classifying based on a text. Now that's the use of AI classify function. Let's move on to next function. So I'll probably pick AI reply. Now this reply function, like we saw, helps in drafting responses. Now it could be a response to an email or response could be a response to a product review or a service review. Now I'm going to enter a text. So it's a review on a particular service where customer has expressed their disappointment. Let us test this. Now notice that I've been entering the text manually, but this could again come from a different source. So here is what the AI replay function does. Now it has read the text and it has given the prepared response. Now this is more related to a review for a particular service, and here is the response. I'm sorry to hear that you are disappointed with the service. I understand how frustrating that can be. Could you please provide more details about what specifically went wrong? This will help me better assist. Now rather than having an executive read through all the reviews and responding, we could use this AI replay function. So AI will help compose us the response and it can help also post the response. Now the same thing could be done for the email. It doesn't have to actually send an email. We could still see the response. If needed, we can manually correct it, fine tune the response and use it accordingly. Now this is about AI replay. The next one is AI sentiment. Here's a sentiment. Like we see, if we have to get a sentiment of a particular text, we can use this function. I will say I am not happy with the product. I'm going to test this one out, and I'm expecting it is a negative sentiment because someone is expressing their disappointment. Now let's see what the response is. Yes. Now it has analyzed this into a negative sentiment. Now in situations where we have to address a particular issue better than the standard practice, analyzing the customer's mood or customer sentiment can come very much handy, and it also helps in fine tuning the process as well. Now if we are getting a lot of negative responses, it gives us an idea about the sentiment of a product or services, the sentiment that customers have for our product or service. Now with this we can prioritize based on the sentiment, and we can better tackle them and handle them. I also would want to look for a positive sentiment. I'm just going to say I'm happy with the product and test this one out. Alright, I'm happy with the product as expected and rightfully so. It's a positive sentiment. Now this is how we can use AI sentiment to understand the mood or sentiment of a particular text. Now let's look the AI summarize one. Again, this is expecting a text. Now summarize helps in getting a summary of a lengthy document. It could be a word or any document, or it could be even a content in the description, or it could be even the content in the email body. It basically reads the text and it summarizes it. Now for this demo I'm going to input a lengthy poem that I've copied it from one of the website. I'm just going to paste that one here. You can see it's a pretty lengthy text. Let's see what it returns. Run the flow. Now this is a summary. Now The text started off without a doubt one of the most important poems of 20th century. It has never lost its glamour. This is the text, but the summary is something else. I mean, it has just summarized the whole content rather than the outputting the content as it is. So the road not taken by Robert Frost is considered as one of the most important poems of the 20th century. It has remained popular and relevant, reflecting the fractures of its era, and it has continued to expand, its summary. Now, this is how AI summarize function helps when we want to understand the summary of a lengthy document rather than going through it in detail. Now we could just input that particular document contents and quickly capture the essence of the document in the form of summary, and then we could take an action along with it. Now this is what these actions or functions are helpful with. Now outside solid, again it depends on the use case and how we can use them in real time. Now since it's an action, we can pretty much use it in all code components. We could call them from a JavaScript, TypeScript, plugins, custom API, also custom pages and canvas apps. But this is how we can use them in Power Automate. The whole idea is to have an introduction about these functions. Now with the reference link that I have pointed out in one of the slides, you folks can actually have a deeper understanding about these functions and probably come up with a real-time use case and scenario and start using it. Now that's all that I wanted to do as part of this demo and session. I hope this helps. In case if there are any questions, please feel free to contact, reach out, or drop in a comment, and I hope this helps. Thank you for your time.